Good morning. You all look great. We're so excited for the trip ahead, and we see this time on the bus as a time to prepare, to get ready to meet with legislators and tell them about the importance of services for homeless people. So now I'd like you to sit back and listen to some of our leaders share their experience about their trips before, so you know what to expect and are ready to go when you get there.
My name's Gloria Davis, and I'm a leader at the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless.
My name is Charles Austin.
I am part of the core team at DePaul University for the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless.
Hi, my name is Glenda Sykes.
My name's Taylor Teft.
I'm a leader with the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless.
I think of them as like an advocacy group that takes people from the community and mobilizes them to create the changes that they're looking for.
What we do is to help the services that you receive as being homeless. We're the ones who try to maintain and help to keep the funding for those particular organizations.
In order to affect the policies that do affect us, that we have to go and lobby our legislators.
What motivates me to go to Springfield is the opportunity to voice my opinion and fight for rights for not just me, but the entire state of Illinois.
Homelessness is a problem in our community, and that by having a bus full of people with bright yellow shirts on come and try to get at least even 2 minutes with the legislators.
I just believe in the democratic process in general.
We're here from Tilden. We're at Springfield, the capital of Illinois. We're talking to senators and representatives about the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless, and my experience has been great so far. Today I got to talk to Senator Kotowski.
Having the $3 million put back in the Homeless Education Fund was amazing. Kids need their school. Doesn't matter whether they have a home or not. Nothing matters except these kids get their education. When I got the word that money was put in the line, I was so excited. I was like, yes, I did this. Look at what we did.
This year we gave them stickers that said the number of homeless students that were identified in Illinois. Part of the victory too is that they're like, oh, of course, and they put it on, and I feel like kind of, at least some of them kind of wear it with pride, because when we talked with some of the legislators, they say that like, oh, I co-sponsored this bill or this with the coalition.
It was very empowering for me because I thought that I was just a little nobody here that didn't matter, but my voice made such a big impact in legislature that they actually they turned the bill into law. And so I think that was a great victory for us.
We were one of the only sections of the budget that not only didn't get budget cuts, but we actually got restored funding. We got more funding for these programs. We took a bunch of high school students with us that year, and for me it was so cool to think about, wow, these high school students from Chicago were able to see, like, yeah, I stood up, I used my voice, and it made a difference.
I learned a little bit more how to be an agitator, to realize that these legislators, they work for me, they work for the state of Illinois.
Without CCH, as well as the other people that we partner with, going down and fighting, they would just mark it off. There would be no one there to check and regulate them. There would be no face to the issue. All they would see is statistics. They need to see a face, and they need to know that it impacts a life.
I began to advocate more in my own life, just on an everyday basis, as far as with employment, as far as with housing, It's given me a spirit to speak up and be heard. Some embrace me, some brush you off, but the key is to be persistent.
You always have to keep in the back of your mind that these are politicians you deal with, and a lot of times they'll be nice and kind and just really brush you off and aren't really listening. You have to make your point, get your point across, and make your voice heard. And again, they need to know and understand. You make sure it's clear that you are not alone, that there's an organization, a group of advocates behind you, that we stand united on this issue, this cause.
The legislators aren't just people that we're trying to get on our side, but we actually do have some allies. When we get off the bus, we go into the Capitol, immediately to the third floor where the chambers are, and we try to get our cards in as quick as possible, and usually then just kind of stand around and wait, browse the crowd for other legislators.
We'll go to their offices and their chambers. We'll write the representative or the senator's name on it, asking them to come outside if we're going to their chambers. If we're going on the Senate floor or something like that, we'll give the card to the usher. And they'll go in and request an audience for us. And they'll come, more than likely they'll come out and they'll speak with you. And you get the opportunity. Now you got to keep in mind that time is of the essence. So you make it brief, but you have to be able to share your concern.
You're probably wondering, what am I going to say when I find a legislator? So now we're going to take some time to explain that to you. When you find a legislator, you'll be in a small group of people, and each person in the group will have a role. There are 4 roles. The first role is introduction. In the introduction, people explain who you are. The second role is testimony. The testimony is the most important part of the meeting because it's the part the legislator will probably remember when they leave. It's when a person shares their story of how they've been impacted by homelessness, or about a friend or someone you know who's been impacted by homelessness. And then the third part is the facts. So you'll have a fact sheet, and you can give the fact sheet to the legislator, but you also want to point out an important fact on that fact sheet. And then the last role is the commitment question. That's when you ask the legislator if they'll support us and work to change this thing that we're lobbying for.
Good afternoon, Representative Jones. My name is Charles Austin. I'm a leader with Chicago Coalition for the Homeless. We're here to talk to you about the homeless prevention funding and emergency services funding.
I live in a facility that houses veterans, mothers with children. I just don't know where we would go if you all were to cut the budget. These services are vital, so I hope that you'll help us out, Senator. Thank you.
Senator, I would like to point out a fact. Did you know that a record of 54,892 Illinois students were identified as homeless in the year 2012 and 13 school year?
So Senator Martinez, do you think it's important to fund these homeless youth programs? And if so, would you please speak to President Collerton about these issues? Thank you for your time.
They were like shocked when they heard my story, because like for me to be in a shelter, they would have thought like, oh, she don't want to come out here and do anything about this issue or whatever. But when they heard my response and my story, they really like wanted to put money in and funds for making a change.
The coalition comes to our district offices. You're always present in Springfield, telling the stories of how people who have just gotten that little leg up through a supportive housing program or a shelter program, or how important health care is, or just access to services are, how it's made a difference in people's lives. Because there's so many needs that we are told about in Springfield, and sometimes you wonder, is this really helping people? Is it really effective? And you can see studies, but when you see people in front of you who can tell you how their lives have been transformed, or how their families have been lifted up, it makes a really big difference.
If we do not hear from you all, we automatically assume that you're satisfied with what we're doing.
The Chicago Coalition brings people from all different communities, including West Garfield, Inglewood, Auburn Gresham, Lawndale, Chatham, Little Village, Pilsen, West Loop, near West Side, Maywood, Libertyville, North Chicago, Aurora, Waukegan, Joliet, Rockford, Peoria, and Springfield, Illinois.
Because of your your work educating legislators in 1 year alone.
More than 47,000 mothers, fathers,
Children, students have been served by programs to get out of homelessness
and to prevent them from becoming homeless. And that's awesome.